I almost didn't go to Camp Agape, California 2024. That's this year. So I almost didn't go. Two things happened. That's two. I fell while having an epic Nerf gun war over in a play set over there and hurt my back. And this is hurting for like about a week and a half or so just before the camp. And the second thing that happened was my wife injured her knee while she was running. And so like those two things together, like they kind of compounded, because one of them's like, all right, I'm going to be walking up a mountain for a weekend and my back is already hurting. And then I'm going to be sleeping on like this kind of springy cot thing. I can't imagine that I'm going to be in a good place to be helping kids while also in pain, right? So there's a thought that comes into my mind where it's like, it would almost be selfish of me to show up in this bad state, right? And then the second one with my wife's knee injury, we have a young son, Riker, and he's trouble. He's really difficult. And so now she's having trouble like just walking up the stairs or just being anywhere in our house, walking around. And I'm like, I'm going to be leaving her to take care of Riker for the weekend. That's almost selfish to do that, right? And those were like the two sort of poisonous thoughts that were circling around. Like one, I'm not going to be any good because I'm in pain. And two, I'm going to be leaving her this trouble, right? All right. So since this was my third year, I kind of already got the idea that these things happen each year, right? Like you encounter something that says it would be better if you didn't show up. The first year, it was a lot of pride, right? I heard Pastor Jeff talking in one of the mentor meetings, and he said something, and I'm like, he doesn't speak the gospel the right way. Like, I don't like the way he says the things he says. And so I got like this lump of pride, and there was a thought, well, like I'm not going to, serve in this ministry because they're not doing it right. I showed up, and the camp blessed me so much with things I'd struggled with through my childhood that I no longer could consider any of the ministry, like the gospel, to be wrong, right? Like, okay, they have kids dancing, and I got to go, all right, I guess kids should be dancing or something. Like, I guess, like, after my first year, I had to consider going forward that if I had some hiccup about this ministry, the thing that was wrong was me. Does that make sense, right? Okay, so second year, same thing kind of came up, pride, but I showed up, unfortunately, with a little hiccup of pride, and that also got worked out. But I don't want to make this video too long explaining first and second year. I want to focus on year three. This year, because of year 1 and 2 and how much I knew that things kind of worked out of me, my thought was, all right, even though I'm in pain and even though my wife is struggling, I'm going to disregard those anxieties. I'm going to assume that that's the enemy working in, like, twisting truth and stuff. Like, oh, it'd be, I know, because it's a really crazy idea, right? Like, it would be selfish of me to serve people. That's the lie I was being told, and I was buying it, right? So at some point, I'm like, no. But instead, I decided to pray into, like, again, first year and second year, stuff got worked out of me. So I went, I'm going to be forward about this, and I'm going to decide the thing I want to be worked out. Right? So at my church, I've joined this ministry called Stephen's Ministry. And over the few weeks that I've been working with a care receiver, a person who talks with me about their troubles, I have learned about myself that I'm bad at encouragement. And like the thing that occurred to me was, well, because I was kind of raised without encouragement, I'm not good at it. And it wasn't that I got no encouragement, I got backwards encouragement. I got, when I did something good, someone told me, hey, attaboy, good job. But that's not really encouragement, right? Because encouragement is something you give someone and they don't deserve it, like they haven't actually done a good thing. If they've done a good thing and you're telling them they did a good thing, that's like a payment. It's not encouragement. You give encouragement when someone's not doing a good thing. And so I'm terrible at encouragement. So what I did was I went, okay, since I'm going with the bad back, with the wife and the thing, and I'm going to ignore all that enemy talk stuff, I want to pray into God opening the flood valves on my encouragement system, because I know I've been showing up to like situations with my kids, situations with my wife, situations with my care receiver now. And I have a broken system of encouragement. I want that released. I want that gone. So when I go there, I want to go, okay, God, when I get to Camp Agape, just open my encouragement, right? All right. And so that was what I prayed into. And then immediately, like I showed up to Southlands Church Friday morning. And as I'm walking in from the car, like I hadn't even arrived on church. I'm just in the parking lot. I'm walking in, and 2 kids that were in my cabin last year. These kids were like, they weren't bad kids. They were difficult for our group. Okay, one kid can make your group difficult, because it disrupts the cohesiveness of your group. 2 kids, like it made it, like last year was so hard because of these 2 kids. And again, not because they're bad kids, just because I didn't know how to encourage them last year. And so these 2 kids show up, and both of them are psyched about being here. And last year, neither one of them wanted to be here. They were crying, getting on the bus. They were upset. One kid was always running. One kid was always upset. And each one of those kids, since they're brothers, made them either crying or upset or running. And so like they were so difficult. And now I show up here, and here God has given me this encouragement. Like, hey, remember those kids that were trouble for you last year? They want to be here. Like that encouragement was I'm working behind the scenes. You don't always see it. You're not going to always see it. But that just you showing up can be a blessing. Like you won't even know. You won't even know how you've been a blessing. But just you showing up can be a blessing. And these kids, like, obviously it wasn't just me. Like I didn't fix these kids. Like I saw these kids 3 days out of 365 or whatever, okay? But they wanted to go to camp. And I'm asking them, like, so what are you excited about? And they started listing stuff they're excited about. And they were just totally different kids, all right? And I'm going to come back to these 2 kids towards the end of this story because God just did not finish with the encouragement over the weekend, right? Like he just kept pouring out encouragement on me. Like, anyways, so after that incident with those 2 kids, I started to recognize the way that God was helping me, all right? We have this moment where the doors are about to open, kids are going to start running into the sanctuary, and all the volunteers, all the mentors are putting their hands out like, hey, slap my hand, slap my head, run through the hand slapping machine, right? And something occurred to me. These kids are a little bit apprehensive about running through the hand slapping machine. Part of it's like you're going from outside where it's bright to this kind of dark room with all these adults, and they're like, come on, And so I had the thought, well, like, let me see if I can make it a game, And so I go outside and I start talking with the kids, and I'm like, okay, here, can you hit my hand? Can you hit my hand? And so the kid like hits my hand, and I'm like, oh no, you got to hit it harder than that, right? And so once I got them like step 1, hit a hand, then I go, can you do like an airplane? Hey, these people in here want you to go run through them, hit all their hands. Can you hit every single hand? Or hey, if it was a little kid, I'd be like, yo, let's see if you can knock one of those people over, right? And so now as a game, and like right away, I'm like, God's answering my prayer about encouragement because that's not something I would see. I generally look at things like that. Like I have a tendency to go, seriously, you're complaining about that? Like that's my go-to, right? Like, because when I was a kid, when I was being raised, I got a lot of that, like, quit crying or I'll give you something to cry about. Like, if you're complaining about something, it better be a broken leg, right? And so here these kids are like, we're a little bit apprehensive about running into a hand slapping room. And my normal thought would have been like, get over it. But here God was giving me access to something. Here he gave me access to make it a game, Just teach them how the hand slapping mechanic works. Get them to slap your hand. All right, so that's I'm not going to go into all the details because this video would be like 4 hours or something. So that type of thing was happening all weekend long, where I'd see something and go, oh, this kid has the answer for this kid. Hey, can you put your arm around this kid? Can you give him a hug? And I was just seeing things like that. And then at some point, because so we had a really good group of mentors and we had a really good group of kids, which was such a blessing because it allowed me to step backwards. When I used to manage game stores, I used to overmanage things. Like I'd get in there and I'm like, no, I'm the best person at counting money, so I'm gonna count money, right? I was terrible. I was a terrible manager. But here God was helping me to oversee this and recognize that like I had 5 great guys on my team. Really, I'm really hoping I'm not miscounting that. I think there was 6 of us total. I'm pretty sure there was 6 of us total. All right, so I had a great group of people, mentors on our team, and I had a great group of kids. And so what that allowed me to do was step back and like kind of look into opportunities and allow my mentors to work with groups of kids. And every so often I'd go, oh, no one's sitting with that kid. Oh, that kid's sitting down when everyone else is standing. Go check on them, And so now I was free to do this thing where I could step in with encouragement. Okay, so here's the topic of the video. There was one of the older boys on our team, and at some point they became very discouraged, and there were a bunch of different things coming in and playing with that discouragement, and I had no answers to this. And every way that I tried to go about it, all the different I reached out to the pastor, I reached out to my cabin leadership. Okay, I'm reaching out different directions, and we're just dead ends, absolute dead ends. Okay, and I have no encouragement to give this kid. And some of the reason that I and all the people who were trying to help me could give no encouragement was because we were all men. And this person had a history of interacting with men, and that history was highly negative. And they become this kid becomes very defensive interacting with men. And this woman there was a volunteer, and she was a woman. I jumped ahead, sorry. So there was a volunteer who had already had some interactions with this boy, and she'd already noticed some really kind things he was doing. She'd already really noticed some sensitivities he has, and she was talking into those. She was speaking encouragement into him, like throughout the weekend, like over and over. And we had interactions. I don't know her name, so I can't really, call her out and like say, hey, what a good job. Thank you. You were a blessing to our team. She was on the volunteer staff, and she was just a blessing to this boy throughout the weekend, speaking encouragement to him. And so on the last night, there's division in our group because I've already failed to encourage this boy, and I don't know how to speak into encouragement with him. I don't know what to do. And so I'm kind of standing back trying to figure out how to help the situation. And I'm out of resources. But this woman who's already had interactions with him approaches him like a mother. And she comes in and she puts her hand on his shoulder, and he immediately jumps and he tries to like pull her hand off. And she says, it's just me. It's just me. I'm here. And it was so interesting to me because in that moment, this person showed up to be a blessing to kids, and, she became the hand of God in his life. She became the hand of God on his shoulder, and she became the voice of God, speaking peace and speaking encouragement to him. And sorry, I had a call coming in. And it was such a blessing to our group because that is exactly what he needed. And I don't know, in my thinking, had she not been there, had this volunteer not been there, and had she not had these interactions with him, our weekend would have ended very differently. Our weekend would have ended disrupted because this one boy was very charismatic, and his discouragement in our group was acting as it wasn't like caustic or something. He wasn't making everyone depressed or something, but it was acting as a division, and some of the kids were being disrupted by the thing. And so him being discouraged brought everyone else down. And then I was discouraged because you get what I'm saying? Like it was lowering a lot of things. And the thought I had about this weekend was, and as I prayed into going there, not only did God encourage me and help me to be encouragement to these kids, but he helped me to see, like he helped me to be more aware of the places where other people have the tools and the needs. It's like, because we're all here coming in to act as the body, to be the church. And each of us has little parts to play, and just like with the kids from last year, I played a little part. Some of the part I played was failing to encourage them and failing to the middle of the weekend. But this woman who showed up and served, blessed our group in such a way that it ended our entire weekend perfectly. And at the point when we were actually stepping away from the kids and saying goodbye, this boy, he hugged me, and, it was a real blessing. So I just want to share this Camp Agape 2024 story. I don't make a lot of videos on this channel because I've started trying to focus my efforts in making videos about teaching kids how to play games. And I made a video talking about this dice game and how it was a real blessing to our cabin and getting the kids to interact with each other. If you're interested in seeing that video, I will post a link. It's on a different channel, but it's like a family gaming channel. And that's kind of where I'm putting my focus and efforts. So anyone who watches this video, if you were, I'm sure most of you are probably at Camp Agape 2024, and thank you. Thank you for all your service. Thank you for blessing us, and thank you for helping us mentors to just have such a wonderful weekend with these kids. You are all such a great blessing. I really appreciate you. And thank you to I'm not going to go through all of it. There's so many of you, the prayer team, everyone. Thank you all. And I look forward to another year, next year, and maybe we can try and find some way to connect between years. All right, I'll stop there and quit rambling. God bless you. Thank you so much.